Hello, everybody. Anybody who's out there? I should probably light a candle. It's so dark in here. Oh, let's see. Maybe I can light that one and put it back up behind me. Because the only lights that are on right now are the Christmas tree lights in this room. And I don't want to make it too bright because then my eyes will hurt even worse. But I cannot sleep, so I'm awake. Is anybody else awake? Any of my friends from other parts of the world? Yeah, that doesn't help up there. Let's try a second one over here. And what is this one called? This one, that one's hazelnut cream, and this one's backyard bonfire. So we'll pretend we're having a backyard bonfire, shall we? Oops, sorry, puppy. Oh, the two dogs are awake with me. 2 out of the 3. The 2 that are always waking up when I wake up. Oh, goodness. Yeah, you can see the big clock on the wall that tells you it is 20 minutes to 4 in the morning. 3:20 or 3:40. I'm sitting on my blanket that my doggy wants to get under. Come on, puppy. Mm-hmm. There. That's a little bit better light. Not much, but it's also pitch dark outside still because it's only 3:40 in the morning. Drinking some orange juice. and trying to get comfortable on the couch and somewhat stay warm. Pretty soon this room should smell all kinds of fall. All kinds of fall-like smelling. Let's see if I can get this to stay up here so I don't have to hold it. I don't have high hopes because let's see. Oop. Sorry about that. Touched the wrong button. There we go. Maybe that will work as long as I don't bump it and knock both candle wax and orange juice all over myself. I'm not looking to do that. So where are all my friends from the other side of the world? It's 3:30 in the morning here. So some of you should be awake. My friends in England, my friends in Germany, my friends in Moldavia, my friends in India, Pakistan, Iraq, Malaysia, I think it takes a little bit maybe for them to get their notifications too. Also know that I'm even on here. So today is December 21st, and everybody is in the middle of the hustle and bustle for Christmas. It has been a calm preparation for Christmas around here. We got a lot of the gifts that we want to give to family members done early. And Christmas dinner stuff has already been ordered and delivered. And the house has already been decorated. And we've enjoyed several evenings, um, with the fireplace on and the lights from the decorations lighting up the living room and the family room. And Christmas music. And Christmas art, making Christmas cards. I made Christmas cards for the first time in handmade them for the first time in probably 15 years. And that was fun. Um, I probably only sent out about 20 or so Christmas cards for our family. Um, Back 15 years ago, and for several years before that, I was hand making and sending out probably 80 Christmas cards. And I basically would get done with the 25, 30-ish, maybe 40 Halloween cards that I would send out, because not everybody on my Christmas list was on my Halloween list, because Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I saved those cards for only the lucky ones. So as soon as I get done making those Halloween cards, I'd have to basically start right in making Christmas cards in order to get 80 of them done in time to send them out and have them reach their destination. But that got overwhelming. That got too much. And when I stopped crafting entirely, it was most definitely something that I did not keep on doing. And this year, I just got really inspired by a design of card that was a YouTube friend of mine, a woman named Ann Lahr, Lahr, and that is what her YouTube channel is. Very creative lady. And she took her inspiration from Louisa Hensel over in Germany, that's the name of her channel too. Luise, Luise, or Louise, no, Louise, Louisa Hensel, Henzl. And I just got so excited about how easy they were and how cool they turned out. And it involved also using what are known as Tim Holtz they're chipboard cutouts of vintage style children, people, couples, some sitting, some standing, some leaning, in variety of dresses and suits and top hats and, shirts and pants with suspenders and, all kinds of things like that. And they were already kind of done in that sepia tone. So they were already made to look vintage. And those were added to the front, and it was a lot of fun. I added some corrugated paper bits to the front um, for them to pop out a little. So they had in some foam, double-sided foam tape on the back too, so that they would, you know, be popped up off the surface of the card a little. And ooh, I got my first thank you for my card yesterday. So I know someone that I know, Miss Pam from Stitch It Pam, she did get her card, but she only lives one state north of me. So I don't know how far any of the rest of my cards have traveled. Hello, whoever has joined us. You don't have to message if you don't want to. But I'm glad you're here. And I hope it's because it's a normal time of the day for you to be awake. If not, you know, we were up and awake in the wee hours. So yep, my Christmas cards went out, and we've had 2 days of, you know, light snow. So, and temperatures that have kept the snow that has fallen. So it covers the ground, and I'm hoping that it doesn't melt before Christmas, because I like it when there's snow for Christmas. To me, it just seems like there really should be snow where I live at Christmas time. So I cannot imagine having Christmas like in the southern hemisphere, like in Australia or whatever, where it's warm and summertime, basically. So, yeah, I like the bundling up in the hot coffee and fireplace, you know, sweaters, mittens, all that kind of stuff for Christmas. Can't imagine spending it in shorts and a t-shirt. But of course, I've lived in the Midwest of the United States for my entire life, minus a couple years in New Mexico. So I do know what it's like to have Christmas be warm. But I definitely prefer Christmas this time with this type of climate. What to talk about? What do I want for Christmas? Well, I wish all of my children are adults. I wish all of my children could be home for Christmas this year, but that's what I had last year. And two of them live out of state, and one lives with his girlfriend, and so they have to spend some time with her family this year. So begins the trade-off of families for the holidays for him. And the other doesn't like to travel by flying, so he likely won't come home either unless it's a surprise that I don't know about. And my daughter lives here, so we will have my daughter and my grandbabies, my pregnant daughter, with grandbaby number 3 that is due in February. And her 2 kids and her fiance, they will be here, so there'll be lots of squealy, loud kitty noises, excitement. Oliver will be here, and my husband will do the cooking as usual. He is a really good cook. He's turned very much into a wonderful holiday cook. We have turkey at Thanksgiving, and we have ham at Christmas. And I went online looking for some sort of vegetable type casserole to go with the standard, mashed potatoes, etc. And I found a recipe called cracked corn casserole. Apparently it's so good it's like crack, so they called it cracked corn casserole. And I am looking forward to that. And yeah. Pie. I'm looking forward to pie for Christmas. Maybe apple pie. That's usually because that's my husband's favorite. And yeah, Christmas Eve, and we'll probably have at Christmas Eve early dinner, and then let the kids open up their presents, and then they'll play for a while before it's time to go home for bedtime. And they'll come back on Christmas morning. Or maybe they won't open up their presents Christmas Eve. If they're going to come back Christmas morning, I'll have to talk to their mom about when they should open up their presents. But they'll come back Christmas morning for a little while before one, if not both of them, will need naps, and then go over to their other grandma and grandpa's house for Christmas with their dad's side of the family. For the afternoon and evening. So even she, is needing to split her time between 2 families now. And I remember having to do that. When the kids were younger. But when they were really, really young, none of my family lived anywhere nearby, so they're completely out of state from here. Um, and so we just had to split time between my in-laws and um, being able to stay home and have our own traditions. And when I got remarried, since none of my family lived here, um, we split Christmas and Eve and all those kinds of holidays between um, his mom and his dad's side of the families. So, but sadly, we are quite estranged from my husband's side of the family. Um, although today, um, my father-in-law's best friend has passed away, and my husband will make a quick appearance and give his condolences to the family today at the wake. Um, but other than that, and a couple brief appearances at um, other funerals or weddings, um, or graduations. Um, he hasn't, that's about all the time he's spent with his family over the last 15 years. Um, and they have not seen Oliver at all. And as far as I know, have not asked to see Oliver. And my father-in-law never asks about my son Oliver at all. Doesn't even ask about him in phone calls, that might be for, a, my husband's birthday or Father's Day, or maybe a Christmas call, but those are all awkward and fast. And yeah, I don't speak to them. He does. My husband does. Since they're his family and they are not interested in speaking to me. So, that's been a little awkward and difficult around the holidays for my husband, especially. Um, I think it's really, really very sad um, for my son. Um, he's a 20-year-old now. Um, he's extremely medically fragile, and he has autism. He is mostly deaf, um, has immune system issues. So I think he is too difficult for um, for them to want to be around. They don't. Um, I'll just be straight up. I've been told, and I know for a fact that they their belief is that I exaggerate Oliver's medical condition to keep them from seeing Oliver and keep them from seeing my husband, um, which is not the case. Um, there's just rules about being able to come to our house so that we can keep him from getting sick and ending up in the hospital. um, or worse. So, yeah, they haven't seen him in about 15 years, even though they lived, the majority of that time, they lived 5 minutes away. Now they're about an hour away now that they've retired. But where they live now is somewhere that they've had a home, um, a cottage that they've, the whole family, gone back and forth between here and there, especially all summer long. And so it would be no big deal for them to come and visit. Um, but they won't. And that's really sad. It's really sad. Um, I do have to say, at least it is not like it used to be, which is what it's like for a lot of families with kids with autism or extremely sick kids. Um, People think that even though you have family nearby, that they're being helpful, you have help with them, whatnot. But the actual truth is that not only is that not the case, it is usually a very strained, difficult um, thing to balance with what you're already dealing with your child. Um, and they can make it, family members nearby can make it, life even more difficult, which is no fair and no fun. Um, and we had uh, a good 6 years of that. Um, when Oliver was young. And then everything just came to a head and fell apart entirely. So, and on my side of the family, I only have my father left. My mother, my stepfather, my stepmother have all passed away. Um, and my dad um, lives out of state still and hasn't really traveled since before my stepmom passed away 2 years ago. But we're hoping to see him. He's hoping to come out in March so that he'll be here after the new baby, uh, my new grandbaby comes. So he'll be able to see those 3 great-grandchildren for the first time. And that'll be exciting. And I know my daughter will love it. And I'll probably cry my eyes out. So, and my grandbabies will love getting to know their Grandpa Truck, as he's called. Oh, so let's see what is going on in the world that we can talk about. South Korea finally settled down. Thank goodness for them. And North Korea is just always as crazy as ever. Um, Russia and the Ukraine are still fighting each other. And our government, just I think yesterday, uh, passed um, an extension, I think. I don't think they actually agreed to a budget. They, they've done a lot of just putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, extensions, extensions, extensions. Um, so I think they approved a, temporary type bill again. Um, Canada's postal strike finally ended the other day. So I'll have to get some of those Christmas cards for my Canadian friends. Although I think they're saying not to send anything out from the United States in the post to Canada until the 23rd or after. So um, I'm sure they're aware of a lot of their stuff will be late um, at Christmas, anything that has to be mailed within their country or to their country. But yeah, I think they waited till after Thanksgiving and then have been on strike. So our postal service is technically part of the government, but I don't think I've ever heard of them or remember the postal workers ever going on strike. That's usually just private companies that do that, that are unionized and do that. So, and I believe in the 80s it was, what was it? Was it airline personnel? Some sort of like necessary um, workers, necessary workers. I don't think it was the railroad. Um, but in the 80s, they all went on strike, and it, was having devastating effects on people being able to get their goods, etc. And I believe Ronald Reagan was the president at the time, and I believe he just ordered them all back to work. And if they didn't go back to work, they lost their jobs, and they were replaced because they were considered that essential. And yeah, I don't think any other president has done that. I know nobody's done it since, um, but I don't think we've had a big enough strike of any kind of industry that has um, been so essential to um, our lives and our economy that anybody's had to, any president just has had to order them back to work. So, hello to whoever's here and whoever watches this on the replay. If you watch this, just chitty chatting here this morning, early morning on Saturday, the 21st of December, 2024. So, I believe we are now in, we've had our winter solstice now, and Yule begins. for people who follow the more nature-based wheel of the year, um, pagans, etc. Um, I've started to like a lot more um, over the last 10 years or so, more nature-based celebration of the holidays, um, of this in December and into January. Um, and the winter solstice being the longest um, night of the year, and after that, every day gets every night gets shorter and every day gets longer. And eventually we'll have the return of sunny days and this season of growth. Um, and even though things are cold and frozen and are not typically growing, like spring and summer, um, and the earth is more quiet, the animals are quiet. Um, this year, something I've been doing different is I have, for the first time in my life, I think ever, I made 2 bird feeders and have been feeding the birds for the winter. But I believe I'm also feeding some squirrels, and I'm, I've got 1 bird feeder on our back deck, so we can see those birds. Um, and oh, Stephanie, you're always awake early in the morning like me. You have a hard time sleeping. Um, so yeah, so we can see those. Even an possum was out there trying to help himself to the bird food. And I put the other one in the. You just sleep whenever you're tired. I understand that. Um, I had that one farther back in our backyard, and must have definitely been squirrels who got into that one because I filled it one day and went back the next day, and not a single teeny tiny um, bit of the bird food was left. And so I refilled it and moved it um, halfway up closer to the house. So I'm pretty sure I need to check on both of those and probably refill them, which means I will have gone through when I fill them next, I will have gone through more than 10 pounds of um, wildlife, bird food. And I was discussing this with a friend online because she also, she has 4 bird feeders, I think a special hummingbird feeder as well. She buys a 40-pound bag, she said. A 40-pound bag of bird food, bird seed and bird food every month to keep her. And that's actually a good price for she gets a good price for it too. But that's how much she goes through feeding the birds in her area. But where she's at, she's in a coast, more of a warmer environment. Um, she's farther south, so she may have more birds and squirrels and whatever around this time of year than we do up here in the Great Lakes area in the Midwest, where we get deep freezes and huge snowstorms and all that kind of thing. So, and everybody bundles up in coats and hats and gloves and scarves to go outside and brave the weather. Unlike me, I like coats, but I don't like to have to wear a coat to go somewhere and have to like keep track of my coat. So usually I just bundle up in layers. I am good with, sweaters and scarves. I will wear a hat and gloves or mittens at times. I like the fingerless gloves though. Those, help keep my hands warm, but still be able to do things easier. But in the winter, I am still barefoot. I have been barefoot 100% of the time for the last 10 years or so. And winter doesn't change that. I don't work outside, and I don't work outside of our home. So I don't have a job that, prohibits me in any way from being able to be barefoot. And when it's winter, all we're doing in, society nowadays is going from your house to your car and then your car to wherever your destination is, if walking from the car to the store, or the car into your friend's house, or into a medical building for an appointment, whatever. It's not like I am standing around out in the snow. So it's really no big deal. It's no big deal at all. The only time it really bothered me, and more mentally bothered me, was when I accidentally got locked out of the house and my husband couldn't answer the door. And so I had to be outside the front door, and he couldn't answer me at the front door. So then I had to turn around and walk all the way down our very long driveway to our backyard and our back door. And that was locked as well. And I was knocking on that, and he couldn't hear me because he had then gone to the front door to let me in. And I had to turn around and walk from the back door back to the front door again. And the driveway was not only snow covered, but kind of iced over. So I had been standing out on the front porch for, the time I was knocking, and then walking twice down the length of the whole long driveway. So, yeah, I hurried up and shoved my feet under blankets and, put a heating pad over my feet to warm my feet back up really cold, really fast. But yeah, I walk around the house barefoot too. So basically, if I get cold, I put a hat on, because that's where you lose the majority of your body heat, is through the top of your head. And I have several little beanies. I have also a new hat made by a online crafty friend, the one that buys the 40-pound bag for of bird food for her birds every month. Aunt Beck's Creations here on YouTube. If you want to go check her out, she is an all-around wonderful artist, crafter. I don't know that there really isn't anything she can't do, and it's fun watching her. But she made me what is called the Mary scarf. She took a pattern and kind of modified it a little, made one for her son's friend named Mary, so therefore it became the Mary hat. And I commissioned her to make one for me. So I do have that for this year that is new. So that is fun. And I'm learning to do all kinds of new stitching. I've bought some books on embroidering and stitching that I'm excited to pour through and learn and practice how to do. Make all kinds of stitches and embroider. I've been practicing on 4x4 and 8x8 squares of fabric. I've been practicing on some denim, and it's very relaxing. I do need more practice making sure the stitches that I'm making are even, and I haven't ventured into any of the really more complicated stitches. Maybe not complicated for other people, but I'm used to just stitching to mend things by hand. I've done a little bit with a sewing machine, but I haven't gotten our sewing machines serviced yet, the two that I have. So I haven't gone back to machine stitching. And I probably have just not felt the urgency to have those. I don't think they need to be fixed. They just need to be serviced. The sewing machines. So I don't feel any rush to, other than wanting to sew on paper with the sewing machine. I've been perfectly fine doing whatever little hand stitching I'm doing and mending things, and trying to get comfortable in a quieter, simpler way of spending my days. And I'm enjoying trying to make videos on YouTube and have live streams and chit chat with whoever comes along like this. I am also enjoying making videos, craft videos of my own, filming the crafts I make as I'm making them. So that's a lot about me. You thought the first time you saw sewing on paper, you thought it was weird. Yeah. It's an interesting look. It's obviously not for every situation. It's a style of it, you know. It leans towards you know, um, a style of its own. But I think it's very pretty. Um, and I know there's all kinds of things you have to be careful about, you know, stitching through, using your sewing machine and stitching through paper that's been glued, um, because that'll get all kinds of glue stuck up in your machine. You sew on paper now? Do you use a sewing machine and sew on paper? That's awesome. Yeah, I did that for a little while until my machine, one machine started acting up, and I haven't I haven't done it since. It's been a couple of years. Of course, I did spend a couple of years not crafting at all, in a pretty bad state of grief after my mom passed away. So, and for me, when things get really, really bad in life, I tend to stop journaling and I tend to stop even creating. Like my creative process just quits. Oh, your husband taught you on a sewing machine. That is awesome. Yeah, I don't think my husband taught me. I mean, because I had used a sewing machine before um, I had gotten married. I think my grandma taught me. Um, I can't do anything like making clothing. I have sewn a whole bunch of aprons. Um, your mom was a seamstress. His mom was a seamstress. Oh, well, that's cool. That's very cool. Um, so I've made aprons of different kinds. I have a huge vintage apron collection as well. Um, there's a short little video on my channel here if you want to see my vintage apron collection. Um, one of our crafty seamstress friends who sews a on gorgeous old antique sewing machines. Janet Nash. Um, she recently made an African style wraparound skirt for herself. Um, she's made all kinds of things, plus not to mention the sewing on paper. So, and she's very calming. Her voice is very soothing. So, she's a fun person to watch. And of course, I pay attention to what's going on in the politics in our country, because we just recently had our election, and a lot of people are, you know, wondering what changes will come with the new president that third week of January and for the next 4 years. But I don't know, other than health insurance type things, um, I don't think I'm worried about too much that might change. Um, around this house, anything medical or health related, when it comes to getting medical care or health insurance, those things are a really big deal. A really big deal. It's also the economy is a big deal to me. Um, it's been a big struggle, I know, for my daughter, who and her fiance with the children, small children, when the prices of food and everything went up so high, and rent and um, that kind of thing has been very difficult. So, any young people, I think, you know, that have to deal with renting or trying to buy a house, it's a it's a rough time. And it doesn't help that, all our basic necessities of, you know, food wise have gone up. Once everything goes up, it's really, really hard for um, companies to ever bring those prices back down. So I don't know. I don't know uh, if we will see that, you know, and gas prices go up and go down and go up and go down, but food prices don't generally go up as bad as what we've seen over the last few years. Um, and it's not just food that you buy at the store, but of course, then that trickles over into restaurants and um, any kind of pre-made um, food, ordering in, pizzas, delivery, if you go, any of that, all of that is more expensive. So I'm interested to hear how Aunt Beck's second night out of holiday celebration went. I saw the snazzy picture of her dressed up and her husband all dressed up with his top hat on. And I hope they had a good time. I know she this year made a whole lot of handmade dishcloths, which I have a couple right here. Not They weren't made by her, but I brought them home from this one here is a hot pad. I don't know if you can see this one. So it's like the double thickness and a really tight knit. And then I have a couple others that I brought home from my dad's house that were my stepmom's and her mother's. So these kind of, let's see here, we can put it in. There we go. These kind of dishcloths. So I'm happy to have those. I also this time brought home several of the little various sizes and various styles of art statues, or owl statues, I should say. They're all owls. My stepmom was very much an owl collector, and I brought home the ones that I wanted, and that makes me happy. I should learn how to draw some of these owls. They'd be good, still life kind of, subject matter to draw and paint. I've been doing a lot of drawing and painting lately, on top of, doing some stitching. I've combined some of the painting and stitching, actually, too, which has been fun. You know, painting more of a background and then stitching, mostly stitching an outline. Like I did I painted a background on 2 pieces of really thick canvas material, and then I did one on jean material. On the jean one, I think I did a snowman, and on the canvas ones, I did a little girl, and on one canvas piece of material, and on the other piece of material, canvas material, I did a mother, um, real basic outlines, um, and I gave those to my daughter because she has a little girl, and so those were representations of her and her daughter. Um, Maybe I need to buy her some frames. I'm gonna have to ask her to see if she can measure them, and I'll buy her some frames for those, and so those stay nice. And I don't think I gave away the denim snowman guy, which I guess I could in one of my live streams, one of my crafty live streams this winter. I also recently received, I bought from Thrift Books. It's a really good source for used books. Um, I have never had a single problem with any book that I've ever bought from them, whether it was brand new or used. They are very upfront about the condition of the books, and so you know what to expect, whether it's just acceptable, whether it's good, whether it's very good, whether it's like new, or that it's brand new. And I recently got How to Draw Almost Every Day, and it helps you start from the beginning of the year, January 1st, and draw something each day. So I'm going to try to follow that as much as I can for 2025. But the same author also has 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2, for how to draw almost anything. And I know Anne Lar has been using those instructions and those examples for drawing out animals to create a zoo. She draws out those animals and then carves them into stamps, and is going to be able to stamp out a whole zoo pretty soon. Now, I'm just going to have to work on getting the drawing part down. She is by far much more advanced than I am at drawing anything. But I did buy myself some carving tools so I could try some basic things. Maybe some, I love the moon and the stars. So I might start with moons, you know, a moon, crescent moon maybe, and a star. Those should be easy. And then move on to how to draw almost anything. Now, the Mariotier on YouTube is a fantastic artist, at wonderful at drawing, wonderful at then carving those images and making stamps. Um, there isn't much she doesn't do well at. Oh, and Anne Lara's also whittling. She's taken up whittling, um, making wood pieces. I watched her yesterday make an old-fashioned Christmas bulb to make as an ornament, a rustic ornament, um, and an rustic-looking evergreen Christmas tree. So those are ornaments that can be hung on her tree. When do you guys put up your Christmas trees? How many of you have your Christmas trees up already? Some people will do it right after Thanksgiving. I try to do it as soon as possible after Thanksgiving. That's what I've always liked to do. And my husband has to crawl around in the crawl space and pull it out. Yours isn't up yet. Oh, don't worry. I'm not laughing at you. We've been there before. Life is crazy, and especially with kids with special needs. I don't think we've ever not had a Christmas tree, but we've definitely been, within a week of Christmas and finally putting up a Christmas tree. And scrambling to get gifts for everybody, and scrambling to do the wrapping. Yeah, that's always been. This year has definitely been so much more calm. Little man texted you the other day and told me it wasn't up yet. Oh, so he's noticing it's not up yet. Well, it is the weekend. Maybe you guys can get that up today or tomorrow. I know that after my husband makes an appearance and gives his condolences at that wake today, we have to do a little car shopping. Actually, not cars, probably going back to having a minivan. The SUV we have is really too small, not enough storage room for our little man's oxygen tanks and wagon that he needs whenever he goes to doctor's appointments. He tends to have doctor's appointments at big facilities or hospitals where you have to park in the parking garage and walk quite a distance and go up, however many floors, and then walk even, down a million hallways, that kind of thing, which he cannot do. He can walk, he just can't walk far. He doesn't have that kind of stamina. Good morning, Aunt Beck. Were your ears ringing? I was speaking of you. You and all your talents, artsy, craftsy talents, and the wonderful Mary hat that I have. Yep. Telling people to go check you out, the all-around artist that you are. And I learned so much from you, just even watching you. You're a very big inspiration to do things I've never done before. You're not going to put up a tree this year? Oh, that's right. You were saying, how was your night out for another 2 days in a row. The second night in a row you went out for I had holiday celebration. How did that go? I saw the snazzy picture of you and your husband. Very cool. Yeah, too much. Yeah. You also don't have little kids at home, right? So I think if when you don't have kids in the house, it's easier to, especially if you're really busy, it's easier to not just skip it, right? Oh no, you sat too close to the DJ. Yeah, that can give you a headache and leave your hearing messed up for a day or so, huh? Oh no. So was it a big work party? A dinner with a DJ? I've never attended a work party now that I think about it because I haven't um the few jobs I've had. Oh, his current employer. Um the few jobs that I have, it hasn't been like the kind of companies, large enough companies or whatever where you'd have a work holiday party. Oh, a beautiful venue. That's wonderful. Just too bad you ended up having to sit too close to the DJ. I've got myself some orange juice instead of coffee. I haven't made any coffee so far. I didn't want to fight with my dog with the coffee. Those of you who know. And after the coffee spill yesterday, I'm a little teed off about that. Plus, hubby pulled out a, which I forgot we had, our stovetop. You got two cats on you? Yeah, I've got one dog behind me, laying beside me, and the other dog at my feet. Everybody's under blankets. But my husband found our stovetop percolator, um, the one I forgot we had, and he made percolated coffee the other morning, and I was so excited. Um, it tastes so good. It's my favorite, definite, absolute favorite way of making coffee. Um, then I'm good with a French press. After that, my niece makes fabulous French press coffee. We have two French presses here, one glass one and one um, stainless steel one. So, but percolated coffee just reminds me of my grandma and my grandpa on my dad's side. That's all they ever had and made was percolated coffee. A lot of things remind me of in my childhood, remind me of my dad's parents. I saw way more of them than I did of my mom's parents, um, because my dad's parents initially lived 6 doors down from us when I was a kid, and then moved about 45 minutes away to when my aunt died and my uncle um, had 3 children, and they literally upended their life and left their home and went and lived with him to help take care of the kids. so he could work, but we visited all the time. And eventually, they did move about 3 hours away, 3 hours, 4 hours south of me, but there were always visits then too. So, and that's why I like the sound of a tick, tick, tick of a clock, because there was a, always an alarm clock, old-fashioned alarm clock in the bedroom that I would sleep in at their house. So I love that sound. That's why I sleep with my watch on, because I hear the ticking. Yeah, family sacrificing is love. Yep. And that's why I also like the sound of a grandfather clock. My grandparents had a grandfather clock. My dad now has my grandparents' grandfather clock, as well as another antique grandfather clock. I believe it's from the 1890s. It's gorgeous, wooden, rounded top, tall grandfather clock. Some of you have heard it in previous videos when I've been out there, chiming on the half hour and the hour all the time. I also grew up with a cuckoo clock when I was really younger, but I haven't I haven't I haven't done anything in my own home as far as getting a cuckoo clock or a grandfather clock. Okay, Stephanie, you have a good one too. I heard you say that the other day, that you like the sound of Aunt Beck of a clock, just not as many as my dad. Yeah, well, his cuckoo clock, he is a Wizard of Oz themed one right now, that they've had for since after I moved out. Um, when I was young, it was the German Bavarian wood classic. Oh, he has to go to work today on a Saturday. Aw, you're such a good mom. Getting up, making breakfast, making sure he gets out the door fine. Supposed to be there by 6 on a Saturday morning. Ooh, that's tough. I don't like the idea of being anywhere by 6 a.m. I am not a morning person. Oh, you don't cook for him? He doesn't eat breakfast? Oh, he's like me. I don't eat breakfast really either. The most is, a cup of coffee and maybe a banana. Sometimes toast, but very rarely. And then I'll get all busy doing whatever I'm doing, crafting and making things and doing whatever, that I don't even eat lunch. It'll be 3, 4, 5 o'clock before I realize I haven't even eaten. Breakfast is his favorite. Well, breakfast food is a lot of breakfast food is my favorite food. So I will eat breakfast food at any time of the day. Like a good breakfast skillet, with eggs, potatoes, green peppers, sausage or ham, that kind of thing. If it was just Greg, I gotta touch this to see. Oh no, I don't. If it was just Greg and you wouldn't eat until lunch. Yeah. Yeah, I've had that problem since I was young, just completely forgetting to eat because I don't feel hungry. Um, Also having, being a young mom, having three kids, 3 years old and under, um, and just that close in age, I I don't know. I guess I just was busy, 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 and never even really felt hungry. Hello, Sandra Louise. Louise is my sister's middle name. It's not part of her first name. But it's her middle name. It's not very many people I've ever met. I don't think I've met a Louise, somebody who has it as a first name. It was my mother's middle name. So my maternal grandmother's middle name, or first, yeah, middle name. So my sister got it. 5:40 for you. Yeah, we're an hour behind. You guys are gonna do your grocery shopping this morning? Yeah, we had grocery delivery yesterday. We had Instacart bring us a big Aldi order. So it was meant to be Louise, but the elders didn't like it. Oh, so you got Sandra hyphenated Louise. Is your first name hyphenated like that, or is Louise your middle name and you just hyphenate it that way for YouTube? Or my older sister's middle name is Lorraine, which my dad says he liked because it's French. I haven't looked it up to see if it's French. No, but it's how you want it. Yep. I like mine the way I do mine too. I hyphenate it for YouTube on my YouTube channel. Just because there's another Renée Suzanne. But I think I started signing it that way. Once I was 16 and had to sign for a driver's license and had a job and all that. Adora. I have a great. You have your great aunt's middle name. Oh, I've never heard that as a name. That's nice. So are you Rebecca or just Becky? Sorry, I'm checking this chat still. Uh, I know my daughter is fretting and fretting and fretting over middle names. All her kids are going to have middle names that start with J. And since this is the only baby, they haven't known the sex of the baby or gender of the baby ahead of time. They found out with the first two. They've, all names are in play. Um, Rebecca Adora, it means gift from God. Your grandma named you. Oh. Oh, you often hyphenate your surname too, as your dad only had girls. So you keep his name going too. That's wonderful. I know in some cultures, some countries, some religions even, um, they will often not give a girl a middle name when she's born, and then when she gets married, she just takes her maiden name as her middle name. I believe that's Anne Lars like that. I don't know that it was for religious reasons, but my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, also never had a middle name. but he was one of 10 children, I believe. And I'm not sure that any of them had middle names, were given middle names, boy or girl. Oh, no, the girl, no, no, I don't think so. Now, on my grandmother's side, the girls, there were 3 boys and 3 girls, and um, your mother wanted to name you Teresa. I always pretended my name was Rebecca when I was little. I went through this phase that I was really embarrassed of my name because no one I knew had the name Renee, and I thought I just stuck out like a sore thumb. So I said, but my name is really Rebecca. That's what I would tell people. So I still don't know very many Renees, or haven't come across very many Renees, not even on the internet. It's actually, I think, what I have come across is people who have it for a middle name, or they have someone in their family or a friend who has it as a middle name, not so much as a first name. Right. Oh, your grandmother wouldn't have raised you if you had been a boy? It probably would have been too hard. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a that that's a tough situation. And you had a really good relationship with your grandma then, as a mother? Called her mom? And you guys, did you get along really good? The typical mom and daughter? And is she the source of um, your learning how to sew and knit and crochet and all that? I almost picked up the candle to drink instead of my orange juice, you guys. The other day, I almost drank my dirty paintbrush water, too. You were her second chance to raise a girl right. Oh, that's wonderful that you guys loved each other dearly. You called her Ma. My kids, now that they're adults, um, don't usually say mom. Well, verbally, they might say mom, but usually, even verbally, and definitely when they write it, they write, yeah, I know, don't drink the paint water. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe I almost reached, I reached for the paint water and pulled my hand back. I'm like, whoa, whoa, wait a minute, no. Um, love for gardening and harvesting from the land. That is a definite um, lost skill that I think um, some people are finally coming back to. I remember my grandparents having a very large garden um, at a friend's house because a friend had they owned a empty lot next to them, and they shared space there. You've just always loved to create. Yeah. And you cook really well too. all these things you talk about making for dinner. Yeah, my husband has taken over the cooking. And the laundry, the cleaning. I actually ran a vacuum cleaner for the first time a couple weeks ago. Um, oh, was she? That's great. And we have a vacuum that's pretty maneuverable, I should say. It's got a ball rotate, kind of like it, well, it is a Dyson, I think, a Dyson ball. Um, so it felt kind of easy doing it, but then I felt it in my shoulders afterwards, and that's what's not good. Um, I've had 2 rotator cuff surgeries on one side, and I probably should. I'm convinced that I have a rotator cuff tear on the left side too, but um, I'm trying to avoid having any more surgeries because I also have another condition that I am easily injured, and then that creates, even when the injury heals or a surgical scar heals, um, my nerves will send pain signals to my brain as if they are not healed, and then it feels like things hurt the whole entire time. Like the surgical scar last December on this exact day, a year ago. Um, the scar for my melanoma that needed to be removed. That still feels like literally like they just did it. Your grandma. Oh, from your mummy. Crafts, baking, gardening. Aw. Look for little beautiful moments every day. Yeah, that is important. Important to try to find something good and something to be happy about, something to be grateful for in each day. I'm doing my best to try to, and I've improved a lot. Trust me. um, pull myself out of a pretty bad depression. Um, I have a lot of problems with anxiety still, so I do a lot of staying home and oh, so the sunset was glorious. Oh, you're writing that down to look for beautiful moments in each day and every day. Yeah. Sometimes it's just things I've thought about that day that were good. And so that's good enough, you know, for writing down even for me, just for writing down in, in a journal. I don't keep a separate gratitude journal. I tried to, but like a lot of us in our crafting community, I don't just have one journal going at a time. And I'm always, you know, making more and got blank ones, empty ones, not empty, but ones ready to be used that, you know, waiting in line. So I tend to put the ones that I write in, I will write the, you know, gratitude things in. Oh yeah, and quotes. I like to write down quotes. I do love to write down quotes. And I like to keep them around my desk where I can see them. Um, you know, good daily affirmations. You can't compartmentalize things as far as journals. Yeah. No, I compartmentalize really well up here. Um, but not for my journals. And it is not a very good long-term mental health um, coping mechanism. For the short term, it's good, but it's not good for the long term. You get to where you can't compartmentalize anymore. There's just too much, and it's all there that you haven't dealt with. You've just kind of set it over here, you know, set it to the side in its own little spot, and it hangs out there until you deal with it. But as far as journals go, yep. No, there's some people that can a dedicated journal for different things. Um, I have a one friend who what's the word now instead of saying in real life, because we have online friends and that's still real life. But what is it? What is the term they're using now for friends? In-person friend. I have an in-person friend. My one in-person friend. She doesn't live nearby, but when she comes to visit, there's a specific journal she will bring that she only writes in when she's at my house. She's taking classes that are focusing on a lot of writing. She wants to eventually write a book. So she's getting lots of practice. She takes about 2 classes online at a time. So I'm very proud of her. Since you turned 60, you finally learned to cast off things you've taken on, oops, because of childhood trauma. Those things aren't yours, mine to bear. Yeah, and I need to be happy for me. Well, now you've given me something to think about in the terms of things that happened in childhood traumas not being yours to bear. They don't belong to me. Wow. I'm seriously finding that extremely profound at the moment here, Becky. Because I think I've always thought of things as, you know, present and past, you know, trying not to what if and what if and what if and worry anxiety wise about the future, to just try and be in the present and leave the past in the past. And then some things, you know, obviously childhood trauma needed to be worked through. And that is I guess, true to a certain extent, but especially when you have people maybe who have passed away that were involved in your childhood trauma, or you don't have a relationship with anymore, and there's not going to be any resolution, there's not going to be any apologies, you know, and it's really not your responsibility, the things that happened. They weren't my responsibility. Yeah. Hmm. I think with having the mental break that I had, um, right before my mother died, and my father was also also right before that in the ICU, um, on a ventilator, and we didn't know if he was going to make it. It's been a lot of medical trauma, and then also my, all the medical trauma with my youngest son, with Oliver. The only way I did get through it was to compartmentalize that stuff, shove it into its own spot, its own, yeah, generational trauma. We inherit our mother's trauma genetically. Well, yeah, we definitely, um, a grandmother's genetic material is still found in a granddaughter. So not only do you pass on, your genes to your daughter, your genes are passed on through your daughter to your granddaughter. Um, and I think the term generational trauma is something people don't realize what that means. You know, certain cycles just repeat themselves, whether it's behaviors or addictions, um, bad habits, good habits, all kinds of things can be passed on. But generational trauma, somebody's got to be the one to break the cycle. Um, yeah. And they're usually looked at as the black sheep of the family. In my case, I don't consider myself the black sheep of the family. I am the sparkly glitter sheep of the family. That's what I consider myself. No, I won't sweep things under the rug. No, I don't have a problem with confrontation. Confrontation does not have to be ugly, yelling and screaming. Um, but stuff needs to be talked out and worked out. You can't just act like it didn't happen. There was a lot of acting like things didn't happen, acting like um, trauma and pain and hurtful things didn't really happen. Just go on like it didn't happen. Sweep it under the rug. And I have never been that person, even though I live amongst a family that totally has been that way. Yeah, yeah, and it is lonely because they tend to you. to isolate you because you're not like them. You make them feel uncomfortable. Um, and you wanting to change things or be different, whether consciously or subconsciously, it makes them feel like they're bad or that there's something wrong with them or whatever, or guilty, whatever it is. And they definitely do not want to feel that, and they don't want to deal with that. Again, this, the sweep it under the rug, act like just pick up and go on like it never happened. Yeah, and there is a definitely isolation that they do, where others in the family will leave you out. Um, that kind of isolation, but also there's that, yeah, that self isolation where it's a protective reflex to not have more and more things happen. I just wish, honestly, with the way my childhood and adulthood went with my relationship with my mother, um, having spent so much time really not knowing her, um, and hardly having any contact much with her. Um, I just wish we would have had more time to have sorted that out. But, and learned from, I mean, because what I know about her, um, is difficult. And if you guys hear any water, that's our water softener doing its thing. Usually it's 3 a.m., but I hear it in there down, running through its cycle. I think a lot of us prefer to stay home now. A lot of us that have gone, that have generational trauma, we have childhood trauma. Um, we want to be social, so we're able to be social online because there's at least that, you know, there's that sense of distance still. Um, and we can, physically just isolate where we stay home and don't go out very much. And in our case, um, we can't really socialize because of Oliver and his medical conditions. Um, but we also just, stopped getting invited, and, you know, therefore then stopped being even informed. We didn't know of weddings, we didn't know of engagements, we didn't know of pregnancies, and um, sometimes didn't know of pregnancies until a baby was born and we were told about it, or on the off chance we actually got a birth announcement. So, and that would be my husband's side of the family. My side of the family, that kind of thing doesn't happen. But we all live, with the exception of my younger sister living um, in the same town as my dad, and having her two children live out in a town near, right near, the next town over. The rest of us are spread out. states apart. My daughter's lives just about, it's about a 30-minute drive, 25, 30-minute drive. So that's not bad. Yeah, the article. I would love to read the article too. I learn well by reading, and I'm not a fan of fiction so much, as far as book reading is concerned. Um, I like poetry. I like books I can learn from, um, whether it's learning a skill, new skill, um, whether it's, historical information, whether it's psychology. You learn by doing. Yeah. Now, if it's a skill thing, reading about it and following instructions from a book, and actually then doing it with my hands, then I'm good. But um, otherwise, I just um, am a very big consumer of um, learning new things by reading. And the internet has made that amazing. Audiobooks to um, ebooks to read. I still prefer a hard copy of a book in my hands, but um, there is something to be said for um, having in my phone right here all kinds of things that I can read or have read to me. It is a little strange, though, to have the mom from what was that sitcom where Tony Danza was the um, basically the housekeeper, and Manny, um, and Judith Light was the mom. I have some audiobook that I just downloaded. Judith Light reads it, and so it's a little weird because I totally remember the voice. Full House. No, not Full House. That was John Stamos. And what was that? I can even remember the beginning of it, like the opening to it was, coming down the stairs in the house and different people on the stairs. And the mother, Mona, lived, um, did she have her own little mother-in-law house out back, or did she live next door? Some sort of something. She lived nearby and was always coming around. What was that called? I can't even think of what that was called. But yeah, she's the newest book I downloaded, and it's an audiobook. She reads it, so it's very distracting. I find myself consuming much smaller bits of it at a time. When you can't sleep, you love the books in your hand. You're not good with novel types. A whole book you cannot handle very well. Yeah. When it comes to fiction, I like the classics. I'm not into, mystery novels or anything like that. I just never really have been. I've always been a really good student and always wanted to learn, loved to read. Um, I could devour. Oh, yes, Who's the Boss? That's right. Exactly. That is exactly the one I'm talking about. That is the show I'm talking about. Thank you, Sandra. Um, by the way, Sandra, are you in the U.S.? I think with your hyphenated name, for some reason, I think that you're. Oh, I don't. What was her name in the show? Judith Light is her real actor. Oh, at least her name as an actress. You're an Aussie. Okay. I knew you. I didn't think you were. How is it to have Christmas um in the summertime? Yeah, down under. Or do you don't know any different? Have you always lived in Australia, so Christmas has always been in the summer? I always picture Santa Claus on a surfboard when I think of Christmas in the summer in Australia. I can't imagine no snow and no ice, no snowflakes. at at this time of year, Christmas. Well, and there's places in the United States too, for that matter, that's sunny and 70, you know, in Florida, and it's sunny and in the 70s, 80s, whatever, in Arizona and New Mexico, Southern California, parts of Texas. Cold food and seafoods. Oh, what's considered cold foods for you guys? Oh, okay. You go let the doggy out. Because cold foods for us literally are because it's cold outside and you start to eat. It's typical to have heavier foods, um, less fruit, you know, more meat, potatoes, vegetables, stews, chilies, all that kind of thing. More wintry foods. I love, Becky, how you get so excited about a new recipe, um, or a new pattern for making something, always wanting to try new things. I find you very adventurous that way. Purging leftovers to make room in the fridge for the groceries. Oh, yep. Yeah, hubby, I could tell I had to squeeze things in with having everything in there for Christmas dinner already, too. Oh, we will have the typical always have to have at Thanksgiving and Christmas, broccoli cheese rice casserole. And then that crack, I almost said crack cocaine, oh my gosh. Crack corn. But they do mean like crack. So crack cocaine. It's like crack. It's so good, supposedly. So that corn casserole, I'm excited to see how that turns out. I'm gonna have to make sure I probably have to send him the recipe again so he has it. It'll be so far back in his messenger thread. So I took a screenshot of it on the recipe site I found it on. So, and you know what I haven't made in a long time is my mom's, it was her junior high home economics class, banana bread recipe. And it's made without milk. So there's no dairy in it. And it's super easy, but you cook it at like 300 degrees for like an hour plus, maybe like an hour or 15 minutes. So you cook it low and slow, and it comes out perfect every time. Sometimes I sprinkle cinnamon sugar on the top of it. Sometimes I leave it plain. My in-person friend that I was talking about, she's also a very good baker. Bakes all kinds of breads. Um, and I love when she sends them to me or brings them. The only problem is that my husband usually gets a lot more of it than I get. He steals my gifts of pumpkin loaves and banana breads and blueberry bread or banana blueberry and all kinds of things, and he scarfs them down, and I don't get very much of it. uh, if I asked her, she probably would bake me some and mail it to me. I think she's even mailed me some. She has mailed me some before, not just brought them to me when she's visited. But she is in Oklahoma now, back at home with her family, parents for Christmas. Her and her husband and her son, her youngest son. Her children are also all adults. Um, so she's having a family Christmas. So I won't ask her now to bake and mail me anything. But maybe when she gets back. I hope she's able to enjoy her family. I know she's got a sister out there as well, and a niece that she absolutely adores. Um, and I don't know if she has any friends, high school friends still that live nearby, or um, her husband was in the military there. That's how they had met. So I don't know if he has some military friends that he'll be able to visit as well. So I am happy for her to have that family type Christmas this year. My dad doesn't want to come out in those snow. That's the one thing, even, about when he needs to come live with us, when he's can't live by himself anymore. He's not looking forward to the snow. So I think that's even also why he picked March, that maybe March won't have very much snow and the new baby will be here. And he likes, he's lived in Arizona for well over 20 years. So he's very much gotten used to no snow and a lot of sunshine, a lot of air conditioning to stay out of the 115, 120-degree summer weather. Um, but if it's not like that, and it's in the 70s or 80s, they think it's cold there. People are wearing sweatshirts and coats. And when it rains, they don't know what to do. They don't have gutters and drains on the sides of their roads. And sometimes it can, if it rains, it could really, really rain and flood their highways. And in fact, funny story, my niece that some of you have seen in more recent videos of mine, from when I was like out in Arizona in October, for the month of October-ish. She came and picked me up from the airport one time when I went out there to visit, and it was raining, and she was gripping the steering wheel real tight and freaking out about not being able to see very good. She had the windshield wipers going, and I said, well, just turn the windshield wipers up. She did not know that the windshield wipers went any faster. The poor thing. They so rarely have to use them that she didn't know the windshield wipers went any faster than just turning them on. So I reached over and turned them up faster, and we all had a good chuckle. So it's okay. I embarrassed myself in her car one time too. We were sitting in a parking lot in the shade in her car. I think we had done some shopping, and we were snacking on some fast food stuff or something. And I wanted to roll down the window, and I was looking over at the at the door, trying to figure out where the button was to get the window to roll down. And mind you, she had just a teeny tiny little car. I think it was called a Spark, a Ford Spark. And I'm like, Samantha, how do I roll down the window? Where's the button to roll down the window? And she just looked over at me, and she just started like doing like the cranking motion like this. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so stupid. I feel so stupid. There's a handle right there. And I was looking for a button, so used to looking for a button to roll down the window. But literally, yeah. Back again. Miss B will hopefully go back to sleep. Miss B? Is Miss B your daughter? Yeah, once I'm up too. That's why I ended up awake at 3:30 in the morning. 3:20. And then these two dogs in particular, if I get up out of bed, they get up out of bed. Unless Mr. Hank decides when I've slept a full night's sleep, oh, doggy daughter. Oh, yeah. You already doing your morning tours? Hank, though, if I've slept, all night, and I get up, I have to call for him to get up and make him get up. Otherwise, he will stay in our bed with the gate up in the hallway for hours and hours and not cause any problems, nothing. But if I get up in the middle of the night, he pops up and is awake too. And of course, Stanley goes wherever I go, so it doesn't matter what time of night it is, or morning, or whatever, or day it is. He's wherever I am. He's attached to me. He's like a third arm, or another additional appendage. He is definitely the most interesting relationship I have ever had with an animal. We have conversations. I speak, and he talks with his eyes and his tail. So, and he gets spoiled. Mommy spoils him. Mommy also has him hooked on caffeine from coffee. I'm trying not to give him coffee as much, but I'm kind of failing. If he smells it because I've made it, then that's when he begs for it. If I don't make any, he's okay. Doesn't bother me. But then, like going on day 2 or day 3, if I haven't made coffee for myself in the morning, I look over and the poor thing is shaking. I'm like, my daughter's like, "You're gonna give him a heart attack." So I really need to probably stop giving him coffee, but I don't know how I'm gonna be able to stop this bad habit once I've started it now. So if anyone's got any tips besides just quitting, the dog is obviously going to go through caffeine withdrawals. I'm just going to have to like back off a little bit, less at a time. Not that he drinks very much. I don't give him very much of my cup, but yeah. At least it's not soda. But he always wants to smell whatever I have in a cup. Especially if it's brown, like iced tea or something. He wants to definitely have a sniff. But he wants to sniff everything I'm drinking to see if he wants to have some. He never does. He only wants it if it's water or French vanilla creamer in coffee. This is the kind of orange juice that I can drink without having stomach trouble. The natural organic kind, and I love it with pulp. It says it has heavy pulp. Shadow. She is your bestie. Oh, she's your Shadow too. She's deaf now, but she knows coffee machines are lighter. And Uma you may give, oh, and gives her a cookie. It means to give her a cookie. Mommy gives me a cookie. Yeah. We found like the going outside and wanting a treat every time they come back in has been a thing that these smaller dogs that we have now has been more of a thing. Like when we had greyhounds, there was no giving them a treat every time they came in, after they went out. But I don't know what it is about these little dogs. They think they need to be rewarded every time they go outside. Some will try, sometimes a couple of them will try to fake us out and just go out just to get the treat. Go out and try to turn around and come right back in. It's okay. We speak Taiwanese. We sort it out. So hubby is still off of work until after New Year's. And so, yeah, buying a new car before the end of the year is a thing that we need to do. Like I said, probably a minivan. We're going to just start physically looking at them today, this afternoon. And I have some things on my honey to-do list here at home. Oh, trying to lure him out of bed for breakfast with coffee. Yes, our fur babies are our family now, right? They're just like having children. I have a big antique chalkboard I want him to hang up above um, my second desk, which I also need to clean off and sort out. I want him to hang my full-size skeleton that we named Dr. Pierre Bonaparte. Some of the online girls and I named him. And I brought home a picture that I also remember from my childhood that my grandparents always had, that my dad inherited, that has now been passed down to me. I want him to hang that by my desk where I usually film my YouTube and go on craft and chats and whatnot. Sandra Louise, you're welcome to join us through Facebook Messenger. There's a Thursday craft and chat with that Ann Lar does, and it's just on Facebook. We get on there and video chat, and everybody does their own thing. And then on Fridays, I do that one. I do that one as well. Same kind of thing. Becky also does. Aunt Bex also does a Monday Stitch It hour. Stitch It hour is Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and our Thursday and Friday craft and chats are at 10 a.m. Start at 10 a.m. Any of them are kind of drop in anytime, stay as long as you want, do, whatever craft you've got going. And it's all just through Facebook Messenger. So if you don't have any of the three of us as friends yet on Facebook, just send a message request, and then that way we can send a messenger request, and we can be friends on Facebook Messenger too. Either or both. And you can hang out with us if you want. We have friends in Canada, Nova Scotia, and London, England, that join us. So they have much different time zones. But they hang out with us when they're available during our time. We have a good time. Everybody learns from everybody else, hangs out with everybody else. We talk about craft things. We talk about life things. We generally, mostly 99.5% of the time, avoid politics. So, yeah. Well, just look for one of us, Ann Lar or Aunt Beck's Creations or myself, Renee Suzanne. Look for us on Facebook or Facebook Messenger, and you can befriend one of us, send a request, and then, the rest of us can also friend you, and you can be hanging out with us and crafting and chatting. It'll be a good time. It's always a good time. So, and people come and go as they need to or want to. So, it's helped me a lot, honestly, to not only craft regularly and be more inspired creatively, um, but it's helped me mental health wise. I think using my creative brain has a very positive effect on. Oh, you're Becky? Yeah, that's, yeah, your full name on Facebook. YouTube is your Aunt Beck's creation. Sorry about that. Thank you for correcting me. Um, but I think using my creative side um, has a way of helping my mental health. Doesn't fix the depression, doesn't fix the anxiety, but it keeps me busy, it distracts me, it brings me joy, and all of that is less time spent depressed or, you know, feeling the weight of things that I shouldn't have to feel the weight of carrying. I'm really going to be contemplating that now that you've said it that way, Becky. See what we get from each other? Life advice, even, you know? Yeah, friends are cheaper than therapy. Crafting is cheaper than therapy. It's better to craft than to cry. Hmm. Yeah. I realize I can't keep using things as just distractions, though. And for a long time, crafting was just a distraction, a way to not think about things and deal with things, or so just avoidance. Um, but now that I've been doing it consistently and using my creative side consistently, um, it's less of just an avoidance um, or a coping mechanism as far as distracting myself. Um, it's starting to, lift um, that depression, and I'm not just happy while I'm crafting. I tend to be happier on those days for sure. Um, and I'm working, just on being happier in general. I think this will, as far as choosing a word for the year, um, the last 2 years in a row, I've chose the word joy, and I also added to it last year a second word, which was blossom. And I think that I will keep those same two words probably for 2025. Um, they have, you know, obviously served me well, and I've got a long way to go, but blossoming and focusing on joy, creating joy, recognizing joy, you know. Crafting is your life now. Lost your job during the pandemic, so you're home most of the time. Fortunately, you have so much creative experience, you'll never be bored. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm sorry you lost your job during the pandemic. Oh, you guys already did your friend requests. Ooh, added her to the Monday Stitch Hour. Yay. Yay. Um, Becky, you can also go ahead, since you're an admin on my Friday Craft and Chat on Facebook Messenger, if you want to add her to that group too. But that's great. Yeah, and she can totally choose. Yeah, she can totally choose if she wants to leave, not be a part of it or whatever, but or she can come check it out and see how we are, if we jive, if we gel, if we're like each other's tribe, as you will. If you find your people there. Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay. And right now I'm filming with my phone, so I won't be able to look at that, but as soon as I get off here, I will definitely um definitely accept your friend request. I just keep staring over at the Christmas tree because it's, besides these two candles, it's the only light in the room. And I just love soft, the warm, soft, white Christmas lights. I mean, I remember growing up, everybody had the multicolor lights. I don't even know if single color lights existed. That's how it just seemed everyone had the multicolored lights. But once I grew up and started decorating trees of my own, I like the draped beads and white lights. Those are my favorite. Oh, yes. Yes. And blue light is so not good to have too much of. Not just from your computer screens or whatever, but like when teenagers were doing a lot of that stringing blue lights in their rooms and then sleeping with them on. It's horrible for sleep. Horrible. We sleep in the complete dark now. We used to have the television on a music station when we had cable TV because Oliver, it was the classical music station or channel, because Oliver loves classical music. He has slept with classical music playing every day of his life since the NICU even. And so now he has become okay with that being off and the light, no light being on, and just having it play um, from the Google Echo, I believe it is, the little one we have. So his favorite is Mozart. He'll either ask for Mozart or just say classical in general. just classical, and then he doesn't mind um, whatever classical plays. I personally am a fan of Mozart. I also am a fan of Pachelbel. We still have the CD from playing it when he would be in the hospital. Um, as a little one. And somehow that music doesn't bring back bad memories. Um, I just I don't know. I don't have bad memories attached to that music. But I also say about music, if you attach music to something you're trying to learn, um, your retention rate is 60 to 70% higher than if you didn't have the music either playing at the same time or music actually involved in the subject matter, um, in learning it. So during our craft and chats, I wear headphones, and um, I usually have a new YouTube window open with some ambient music um, playing, light jazz, or some kind of something classical. Little holiday music now, instrumental. Oh, I should turn the fireplace on upstairs before I came down on the first floor. I'm sure my husband will on the way down. It's chilly. We have to keep it warm, but not too warm for Oliver in the summer or in the winter, and then in the summer it has to be cool, but not too cold in the house. So that's how it is with people with lung issues. They can't handle the too cold or the too warm, and especially if it's warm and humid, which is what we have here. It gets hot and humid outside, sticky, and then that makes it really hard to breathe. So, oh, and when hubby goes back to work, he actually starts a new job at the same company he's been working for the last 28, 29 years. Um, so that'll be interesting for him. We have a prospective possible nursing candidate for our son that is going to come a couple days after Christmas next week, or this coming week. And we'll see if she is a good fit or a possible good fit, so that Oliver will have the skilled nursing care that he needs, and that'll take a load off of my husband as well. It used to be either a nurse or myself taking care of Oliver all the time. But after said mental break that I mentioned a little bit ago, I have not been able to be the one responsible for taking care of him, his medical needs, and whatnot. And so when the pandemic hit and my husband had to work from home, he's been working from home and taking care of Oliver at the same time. And that is something I feel incredibly, incredibly guilty about. And that is part of my mental health that I don't know how to I don't know how I will fix, if it will get fixed, if I can fix it, change it. But um, he'll still be able to work from home when we have a nurse with this new job. He just won't have to be in the same room all the time where Oliver is. But Oliver does have to have somebody with him all the time, on seizure watch for him. Also, um, with his level of autism and uh, developmental delay, um, he needs, someone to um, watch over him and help him with a variety of things that someone who is 20 years old would totally be doing for themselves. He's our forever Peter Pan. He's a little guy and will never grow up. Which, after 20 years, you'd think I would have come to terms with that. But I think for several years initially of his life, there was so much education, so much focus on therapy and, um, helping him make certain big milestone gains. Um, that it's really only been, the last, I'd say, after he turned, 12, and when puberty started to hit, that I really realized he wasn't even physically going to grow any taller, and um, so he wasn't going to look any different, and he wasn't going to behave any different. He teaches himself all kinds of new things. YouTube has been, I mean, I'm sitting here just blabbling on, having conversation with myself and with you guys listening and talking back to me on text. He uses YouTube to teach him anything and everything he wants to know now, um, including many, many foreign languages. Um, and so technology has been a really, really good thing for him, a very good thing for him. He's always been very good at really quickly picking up on how to use, any kind of operating system and any kind of program. He's found music that he likes, outside of classical music. When he's awake, you can find him listening to anything from Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, to classical music, to Iron Maiden heavy metal, to stuff like the Carpenters. Um, he's got a wide variety of musical taste. And I think that was, it's partly because, you know, he had a really good exposure to music every day and every night. And music does, you know, heal. Music helps the brain organize properly. I don't know if heavy metal helps the brain organize properly, but starting out young with uh, classical music definitely helps the brain organize properly. Ooh, I have a message. Oh, I'll have to look at that later. I missed it. Um, so anyway, I am going to go ahead and get off of here because um, I had a little glitch. It looked like in my live, so the timer started over again. Thank you. You have a wonderful day. You're loving all the winter solstice stuff this morning. Oh, okay. I'll have to look at the art attached. Music has helped you through heavy stuff. Yeah, I'm finding that's very helpful. Very, very helpful too. But my timer started over with a little glitch, so this it says 30 minutes, but I know it's been since like 3:40, and it's 6 o'clock here now, so um, YouTube will probably split it in half and call this the highlights and use the time stamp, beginning and end. So I'll have to rename this part 2. But thank you, ladies, for being here. And anyone who watches this on the replay, feel free to go ahead and comment, ask questions, like or don't like. And if you haven't subscribed in the past, feel free to subscribe. I'm not looking to grow some huge channel and make this any kind of career. But I do enjoy interacting with people and about a variety of topics, and just sitting here having these chit chats, or doing crafts together, or yeah, I'm finding YouTube a really good outlet. So if you want to be part of that with me, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. So it's goodbye for now. Um, and I will see everyone around on the internet somewhere soon. And if I don't see you or speak to you through the internet beforehand, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, and definitely a happy beginning of the new year. And I will see you again soon. Bye for now.